Hi friends, welcome to GK Tech Talk channel. In this class, we are going to discuss what are the different types of variables available in Java. Okay, there are three types of variables. One is local variables, another one is instance variables and static variables. Local variables are which are declared inside a block or inside a method. So the scope of these variables are within the particular block where you declared or within the particular method. Outside this method or outside that block, we cannot able to access these methods. The scope of the variable is very limited. Coming to instance variables, these are all object level variables. For each object, there are set of copy will be maintained. Coming to static methods. Static variables are methods which are class level variables. So class level variables in the sense for a group of objects to a created for a particular class can be accessed these static variables, and one variable value changed by one object, that same variable can be accessed by other object, the changes will be reflected. Instance variables, for each object separate copy will be maintained. Static variables, all objects having single copy of static variables. These are all class level variables. We can call static variables and methods are class level methods or variables. Okay, now we are going to see some simple program to understand what is difference between instance and static. Before going to difference, first we'll try to execute a simple program with instance variable and method. Okay, let's get started. I'm just taking a simple Java program. So my Java program name is just employee. I'm taking employee. So this employee class I'm going to declare instance variables. Whatever variables declared without any static keyword, you can call that particular variable as a instance variable. In last class we already discussed how to create an object and how to call a instance method through an object. So if you are a newly watching this video, so please go to that video and just go through it. Then you will understand what's the purpose of creating object and how to create an object. So in this example, we are going to create an object and we are going to access the instance variables. Okay. Here I'm going to declare employee ID. Employee ID I declared as integer type. So next one is string. String is a Java predefined class which will be used to store some word or some sentence. So basically we want to store some text or some alphabets, group of alphabets. We are going to use string. String concept is a little bit more deeper. We are going to discuss later point of videos. Okay. For now we are going to declare a string for storing employee name. So employee. So simply I will give name. Okay. So that is employee name. Okay. These are the two variables we declared. So we can call these variables. What we can call these variables? Instance variables. Why? Because we don't have any static. Now I am going to declare static variable. Static variable we can declare with static keyword. Static is a keyword which is used to declare static variables and methods. Static space I'm going to declare company name. Okay. Now we are going to create an object for this particular employee class. How to create an object? Employee 1 is the object name, new employee. So now we created an employee class, and inside a static method we created one employee object emp1. So I'm going to create one more object employee 2. Okay, there are two employee objects one is employee 1 and employee 2. So now I am going to assign values using these variables. So employee 1 dot employee ID. So in Java, every statement should end with semicolon, and each and every variable name is case sensitive. We need to declare properly. So employee ID I'm giving 100. Okay. So next, what is the next instance variable? Name, right? So employee 1 dot name dot name equal to some Raj. Okay, we given some name to the employee 1. Now I am going to copy the same thing for employee 2 as well. Okay, 101. Okay, so I'm going to store this class. Inside Java folder with name employee.java. So my program name is employee.java. So here I created two objects for a employee class. One is employee 1 and employee 2. Through employee 1 we given employee ID as 100, for employee name as Raja, and employee 2 we given name employee 2 as 101 and name as Kishore. Okay, so we saved it. First we'll compile the program. Java C space so we forgot to give the semicolon somewhere, that's why we are getting this error. So wrongly given. Yeah, now it will compile successfully. Okay. So now it's compiled successfully. Now I am going to print employee 1 employee ID and name through a instance method. Okay, now I'm going to create an instance method, public void display employee details. Okay, I'm going to print employee details in this method. Okay, so I'm going to print here. Just concentrate only on instance variables and instance method. Later we will discuss about static variables and static methods. Okay, employee ID is I'm going to print employee name as well. So employee name and employee ID I am printing. Okay, so now we have a method display employee details. This method is a instance method. So instance method we cannot call directly. That's what we gone through in last video. If you are new to this channel, please just check out that video. Then you will get clear understanding of how to call a instance method using object. So now I'm going to call that particular method from each object, and I'm going to see is there any change in the values from employee 1 to employee 2. Employee 1 dot, how we can going to call? We have to use the dot operator and method name. So this method will be executed and it will print these values. Okay, so even I assigned employee ID as 100, that won't affect the employee 2 object. Why? Because for each instance variable, there is a set of copy will be maintained for each object. Okay, so employee 1 employee id name is different, employee 2 employee id name is different. Okay, so I'm going to call display employee details using two objects, employee 1 and employee 2. Just remember, now we are going to focus only on instance method and instance variable. Okay, now I'm going to compile. So it's compiled successfully. Now I'm going to execute java space employee. Okay, see, employee id is 100, employee name is Raja, employee id is 101, employee name is Kishore. So there are two separate copy maintained for each object. Okay, for employee 1 we are assigning 100 and we are calling employee display employee details. Suppose even we call after employee 2 also, there will be no change in the values of employee 1. Just compiling. For our understanding purpose, I just replaced it with, see, now I'm printing first employee 2 details and then I'm printing the employee 1 details. So employee 2 details are not affecting the employee 1 details. Why? Because this employee id and name are instance variables. So for employee 1 there is a separate copy, for employee 2 there is a separate copy. So we have to understand, like, instance variables will be maintained separately for each and every object. Now coming to static variables. So I already declared a static variable company name, right? So I'm going to access this variable using object. Without creating object also, we can able to access static variables and methods. Just we'll go through the theoretical part of it. So in static variables, we can call static variables without creating any object. Suppose if you have a variable company name, so you can call that particular variable using class name dot variable name, or else if you are accessing that particular variable inside a static method like main method, you can directly call it without creating any object, without using any class name. There are two ways to access a static variable. One is directly calling that method from static method. If you are trying to access a variable, you can directly call that, use that variable inside a static variable, inside a static method. So if you don't want to create any object, then also you can able to access static methods and variables. Using class name also you can call a static method and static variable. But for instance variable, you cannot call them directly without creating object. Only within the method where we declared. So static methods and variables can be accessible using class name. No need to create object. If you are trying to access inside a static method, you can call them static variables directly. Default values are provided for static variables and instance variables as well. Suppose int I you declared, you didn't provided any value. By default for integer 0, for float it will be 0.0, for double 0.0, it will be like that. So if you didn't provided any value, by default values will be stored. Okay, for static variables and instance variables as well. Okay, now coming to the program. So just switching back to the program, here we have a only one static variable employee in employee class, that is company name. So how I am going to print the company name? So for that I am going to write a system out So here company name of employee 1. Using object also you can print it, but without using object also you can access the static variable. First we can try to access using object. for our understanding purpose. So employee 1 dot company name. Okay, we didn't initialize any value to the company name, so I'm trying to initialize here just like how we declared for instance wise. So my company, I declared company name as my company. Okay, now I'm going to print that company name here using employee 2. I didn't given any company name, but I'm going to print it using employee 2 object. Then what will happen, we need to observe. Okay, now I saved it. So there is a static variable, there is only one static variable, that is company name, and we are trying to assign value using employee 1 object. We assign a value my company. Now we are printing that variable in line number 22. Okay, here we are printing the value of company name using employee 1. Similarly, for using employee 2 object, I am trying to print the company name, but we didn't assign any value using employee 2 object, but still we are able to print it. So let's compile and see what will happen. Okay, I'm just compiling it. Okay, it's compiled successfully. Now I'm running java space employee. See, company name of employee 1, my company. Company name of employee, sorry, we didn't that is employee 2 actually, we didn't change the text actually. So here just need to give employee. So now again we are compiling back. Okay, we compile it now. So now it's printing for employee 1 my company, for employee 2 also my company, right? So without creating an object, you can access it directly with class name. So with the class name itself you can directly access it. You don't need to create object. Now I am giving employee dot company name, employee dot company name. So we are not using any object here. Why? Because static variables are common to all objects. So I'm compiling, compile successfully. See, the previous output and current output both are same, but still we didn't use the object while calling the employee company name. That means static variables are like class level variables. So you can create 100 objects for a class. Static variable will be single copy. It won't maintain multiple copies. Suppose one object changed the value, that will reflect another object. Suppose here I'm going to change the value. After printing, I'm trying to change the value. I just changed my company to my private company. Okay, so I saved it. I'm just compiling it. See, company name of employee 1 is my company. After then we changed the value, so that's why it's printing my private company. Suppose again we trying to print using employee 1 dot company name and employee2 dot company name. For both objects, the value going to change. Why? Because this is a common variable for both the objects. Okay. See, company name of employee1, my private company, company name of employee2, my private company. So we changed the value of a static variable that reflects all the objects of that particular class. You can create a method using static keyword. You can call that particular method without creating any object. Straightforwardly, you can call that method using class name dot method name. Or if you want to access static variable, you can access them like this: class name dot static variable name. So if you are inside a static method, you can directly access without using class name also. Suppose if I want to print company name without using any class name, then also it's possible within the static method without using class name or object, printing static variable value inside in static method. Main is a static method. That's why we are able to access the company name without having any object or any class name. Okay, I'm just going to compile and see what will happen. Okay, it's compiled. See, without using class name or object, printing static variable inside a static method. So without using anything, we can directly access the static variable inside a static method. Okay, now we are going to create a simple static method. Public static. Here only change in the signature is we are going to add static here. That's the only change. So for normal method and instance method, the only change is we'll use the keyword static. Okay, static void print company details. Okay. Here I'm going to print I'm just going to print the company name. So this is a static method. So static method, we are trying to access the static variable. So there will be no issue. We can directly access it. Okay. Here also instance variable we access inside a instance method. But if you try to access a static variable inside a instance method, you will get a error. Suppose same statement if we given inside a instance method, then it's not going to accept it. Why? Because static variables we cannot access inside a instance method, but static variables can be directly accessible inside a static method. Okay. There are so many points coming up within this example. So finally we are going to write all the points and we'll conclude with what is static and what is instance. It's compiled. non-static variable cannot be referenced from a static context. See, this is a static method. So inside a static method, I am trying to access employee ID and name. Employee ID, name are instance variables. Instance variables cannot be accessible inside a static method, but static variables can be accessible inside a instance method. That's what we are going to see now. See, previously, we are getting the error, right? So company name we are able to access inside a instance method, but here static variables employee ID and name we are unable to access inside a static method. Okay, how we can call this static method? We can call this static method using object name dot static method, employee class employee dot static method. So you can, inside a static method, you can call it directly also. There are three ways, but the better way is using employee class name dot that particular method name. See, here we are able to print the company name, right? So finally we changed the company name here, that's why we are getting the same company name here. Okay, so even you can call the same thing like employee dot, like this also you can call. See, now also it's printing correctly. Okay, so another way of calling is using object also you can call it. So no need to create object for calling static variables and methods. Okay, so finally this is the program. We are done with the program. Now we are going to conclude what are the points we've gone through this video. Okay, so first point is instance methods and variables can't be accessible through, cannot be accessible directly. You can access them using object. So you need to create an object, then only you can access it. Instance variables are maintained a copy for each object. So each object will have a separate copy. Coming to static variables. Static variables, you can call them as class level variables or class level methods. Static variables and methods, you can call them as class level variables. Static methods are class level variables, class level static variables and methods are class level variables and methods. Okay, so here static variables are shared between multiple objects. Maintain single copy for all objects. We can call static variables and methods using class name dot method name or class name dot variable name. So we can access them using class name dot method name or class name dot variable name. So static variables are class level variables. We can access them directly using class name dot variable name or class name dot that particular static method name. So we no need to create any object to access static variables or methods. Okay, and there will be only single copy will be maintained for static variables. For instance variables, there are multiple copy. For each object, there is a separate copy will be maintained. Coming to accessibility. So static methods cannot be accessed instance variables. Inside static method, we cannot access instance variables. Inside instance method, we can access static variables. Okay, this point is a little bit tricky. Instance methods can access static variables. Static methods can't access instance variables. Okay, so these are the things, these are the differences between static and instance. Okay, instance methods can be called without creating any object. Static methods can be called without creating any object, but instant methods we have to create an object, then only we can access them. Okay, that's it. Is there any questions in this particular video? Please comment below the video so that I can reply. If anything is not clear, if I am going very fast or we are not able to understand any of the concept what we discussed in this current video, please give a comment so that I can reply to your questions. Okay, please try to subscribe my channel and hit on bell icon. Don't miss to hit on the bell icon so that you will get the notification whenever I uploaded a video. Okay, please continue to learn through my channel. So your feedback is very valuable to me. So based on your feedback, I am going to change the way of presenting the videos. Okay, I hope everyone understanding what I am explaining. So we'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Goodbye.